Hello, my name is Mikhail Masokin and I would like to get my hands on the BBC, that august British institution. I believe it was once great, but has lost its way somewhat in recent years. I think I know how to restore it to its former glory. For decades, the BBC produced quality news and current affairs, insightful analysis, great films and documentaries. It informed, educated and entertained, just like the founders had intended. It has a huge archive of high-quality content. Unfortunately, that archive cannot be fully exploited now because of artificial boundaries between what is meant to be commercial content and what is meant to be public service. Also, the BBC's reputation for quality journalism and impartiality is not what it used to be. Nowadays, with hundreds of channels and fragmented viewership, it is no longer quite the shining beacon of moral authority it once was. BBC journalism is perceived by many as torn between the personal political views of BBC staff and the demands of the government of the day. A prime example of that is the fallout from the story with Andrew Gilligan and the sexed-up dossier on Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. I believe the root cause of the BBC's current problem is the split between its public service broadcaster arm and its commercial arm, and the funding model that relies primarily on the license fee. In my view, this split model neither safeguards the public service objectives nor allows the full exploitation of the commercial opportunities. Again, as an example, a few years ago, Project Kangaroo was meant to create a powerful single video-on-demand platform for all the major UK broadcasters. Unfortunately, the BBC had to pull out due to concerns about the split between its commercial and public sector broadcasting interests, so the project crumbled. So, what would I do? Organizationally, I would merge the public sector arm with the commercial arm, BBC Worldwide. That would bring together all the creative, technical and commercial talent that is currently sitting in their separate silos. Financially, I would scrap the license fee, which is a tax on all the TV viewers, whether or not they support the BBC's editorial line or even watch its programs. That obviously causes resentment. Instead, I would fund the BBC through a mix of subscriptions, pay-per-view fees, donations, and income from overseas sales and joint ventures. Viewers would then be funding the BBC as customers, not as taxpayers. That would give them a completely different feeling of ownership. The government could still pay the BBC for producing and screening programs which it deems to be in the public interest, but which might otherwise not be commercially viable. Modern digital technologies make all this very straightforward, ensuring that subscribers would have full access to BBC content across a variety of platforms, on their TV screen, on their iPod, smartphone, and so on. An additional benefit might be an end to the current tendency for the BBC to indulge in empire building. It would then refocus on what it does best and what no other broadcasters could do as well. In conclusion, these changes to the BBC's governance and funding would restore its credibility with the public, align it more closely to the public mood and viewers' interests, allow the BBC to more fully embrace modern technology and the commercial opportunities enabled by it. At the same time, the BBC would still be serving its original objectives to inform, educate, and entertain the public. Thank you for your attention.